What is up, party people? Happy Tuesday. It was off Monday. All of us were off. I was telling Chris, we need more of that. I need more of that. I work so much. I was going through just a little while ago how many days I've had off. Now, mind you, on average, I do 3 to 4 shows a day, depending on the day. I've had 7 days off, of which 2 were holidays. And I have a makeup day coming. So, apples are right. Now, I come back today. I knew Belle was out. I said, Belle's not going to be here. It's okay. Ken never told me, right? So I got Jay, and I got King Louie, who, by the way, is pulling, what is this, triple duty for you, my man?
Triple duty.
Triple duty, King Louie in the house. I love that. And we got so much stuff to get to. And I was telling Chris before, she's not see what's going on at the White House. So large objects are being thrown out of a White House window. And, of course, there's all this speculation about Trump and his health. And I'm like, well, what's the speculation of this? Just out of curiosity. Do you think if he dies, they're just going to toss him out of the White House? Is that what's going to happen? Hey, guys, just nobody's looking. Just toss it out of the second story. People are so ridiculous when it comes to Trump. And that's, last night, we do a live show, usually Monday through Thursday for live stream at night. And I tried to do it after our shows are all off the air here, so that way we don't compete with Matt and everybody else. And then on Sunday nights, I do a show where I kind of look forward to the week. And one of the things we talked about last night is the Democrats and their insanity and the failure to capitalize, even if there's a misstep by this White House or the Republicans themselves, because they're so bad at everything. They have nothing. Zero, zilch, nada. They don't. They've abandoned the core principles that they once held. All they care about is the destruction of Trump and this administration. They can't even capitalize if there's any misstep because they choose, as we've talked about over and over again, the worst of the things that are available to them. So if there's 3 doors, 1, 2, and 3, they pick what's the worst? 3, we're going to go with that one. Like the other 2 could be, not going to hurt you, could be great. They fail. That's what they're about. They fail over and over again. And they're going to continue to do so. And I was saying this week, like, what happens when Trump is gone? Because eventually, for those of you, I hate to bum you out, he's going to be gone at some point in time. And yes, there's worry about his health and stuff of that nature. I'm not too worried, but I also want to be honest with you. He's 80 almost. The 80-year-olds have issues. Right? Like, this is not about whether or not I think he's going to die tomorrow. That stuff's incredibly insane that people push that stuff out there. I don't think any of that stuff, but I'd be lying if I didn't say, is anything out of the realm of possibility? No. Because he's 80. Well, going to be 80. He's doing the hardest job on the planet, especially stress. Is he looking 80 at times? Yeah, but we'd all like to look that good. Let's be real. According to the actuaries, he's lived past his sell-by date. And he's took on the most insane, stressful job on the planet. Go and look at the things that we've seen in the past with, George Bush goes in, and Barack Obama, Clinton and all of them. Go and look at them and then see what they look like when they come out. And then 3 or 4 years later, they've got a different look, a more relaxed look. What you take on this job is everybody's problems on the planet. From trying to deal with the likes of China, Ukraine, all of that stuff, Israel, to dealing with the economy here, to dealing with, people in your own party, to dealing with the other party, to dealing with the media. It is a thankless job at times. And yes, you can build a legacy and all of those kind of things, but just the stress alone. I was telling somebody last night, he's not some guy that lives on some small island outside of Italy or Japan, and he does Tai Chi all day, and he eats nothing but, a fresh food, not even farm to table, literally from next to the table onto the table. It's not who he is. He has a diet like I do, like a 5-year-old. The fact that he hasn't drank and smoked has helped him. But we'd be lying to ourselves if we didn't think at some point in time. He's almost 80. I'm going to expect some slowdown. But the thought that he has died was incredible. this weekend. And then the lunatics out there who are running around going, well, he's really sick and this should not be ignored. You lost the opportunity to ever talk about these things when you ignored the last White House. Anybody in the establishment media lost that opportunity whatsoever. The only reason that Biden was found out was simple. We saw it in real time. And there was zero ways, and I mean 0 ways, for them to ignore it. This is the best version of Biden. When we're not looking, he's doing jumping jacks, and he's riding a unicycle, and he's doing juggling, and he's writing poetry in one hand, and in the other hand, he's sculpting something. That was all BS. And you've lost the opportunity to have a say in this, no matter how much you want it.
These health rumors, he only has himself to blame, and the entire Trump world only has themselves to blame for this, right? They live in this world of conspiracy and misinformation. They manufactured all sorts of garbage, whether it's about Hillary Clinton's health in 2016, Joe Biden's health in 2020 or 2024. My goodness, they've started congressional hearings based on rumors they created and manufactured on all things having to do with Biden and this auto pen and all this nonsense. So guess what? Good for the goose, good for the gander. All weekend long, where's Donald Trump? How come we're not seeing him? Bottom line is he's clearly got some health issues.
Yeah, he does. Because, first of all, he's 80. Most 80-year-olds I know take some pills, have some form of high blood pressure or health issues. That's just life. When you get older, we always joke about it here, whether it's Bell, Ken, or I. We take a nap, we wake up, our neck hurts, right? You got to take pills, magnesium. What about this? Oh, get my Metamucil. That is life. The stress of this job cannot be, you can't even pretend to overstate what goes on. And yes, and here's the other thing. Trump enjoys some of the stress. He leans into it. He also makes some stuff far more stressful for himself than he needs to. But the reality is he's still alive. Okay, Democrats, and you lost the opportunity to have any say when you ignored what everybody said. When everybody out there came up with some sort of an excuse or never asked the question or never even pondered outside of one person at Axios and a few people like Mark Halperin who are independent, never pondered the fact that there's a guy in the White House who basically tells everybody by 2 or 3 in the afternoon, we're done for the day. Who never holds a press conference. Trump did 2.5 hours. He also did an interview on Friday. He did 2.5 hours last week, right? 3 hours, whatever it was. He did an interview on Friday. And yeah, he probably has a few issues. I mean, you can't deny the fact that he's got his ankles are a problem. That usually means poor circulation. When it comes to the heart, can mean some other stuff, but I think that's a worrying sign. Some of the stuff on his hands. Yeah, ask the question. Do I think they're going to be forthright in it? No. But do I think he's dead? No. The fact that I saw that this weekend, it was trending. Trump's dead. And I'm like, well, I haven't been told by anybody else that he's dead. So I'm going to go with no. But this craziness from the media of like, well, where is he? He did this to himself. What about this? You lost that opportunity. You had an opportunity to absolutely 100% break a story during the last administration of a guy that, not since FDR had we been in a situation where they were like, okay, how are we going to do this? How are we going to get away with this? And his wife, you guys don't know, FDR's wife was basically doing everything for a while after yet another stroke. This isn't that. But there's stress. I expect that. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter that there's stress. This is part of the job. He's handling it so far. And he deserves a break every once in a while. I was watching Soccer and Jet. He said, look, normally during his last presidency, this is what happened. On Thursdays, he'd bounce down to Florida, play some golf, and then he'd come home Sunday, and he'd work from there. And no, you didn't get to go out and watch him play golf. That didn't happen. Everybody stayed inside that was with the press pool. You stay inside the food cafeteria area. And he goes out, he plays his golf. He comes back Maybe he gives you something, maybe he doesn't. Then he goes on his way. We're all allowed to have a day off. We are. And you don't have a day off, too. That's the other thing. Even whether you like bite or not, it's never sitting at the beach doesn't mean there's a day off. Hitting golf balls doesn't mean somebody can't come up to you immediately and say, hey, we got a real issue we got to deal with. What do you think we should do here, here, and here? We got to handle this. That's just part of it. It is. So slow your roll. He's not dead. We're going to find out. He's supposed to, I think it's 1 o'clock, Jay? Is that when it's 1 o'clock our time that they're supposed to have something?
Yes, I believe your time on that is correct. Some big defense announcement.
Yeah. So some sort of, I've heard some Space Force may stuff be in there, but as well as moving from the Department of Defense to Department of War, which is, I think, a fair assessment because we don't really defend much, but we do war. And I have a feeling that's what they're going to roll into. So that could be coming up here in a little bit. We'll make sure we grab some of that as well. Bunch of stuff to get to today. We got some crazy stories, some interesting stories. Some interesting stories because we do that. We got a little Hot Take Tuesday. Now, I didn't know all of the guys weren't going to be here today. So I've got a hot take, and I'm going to throw it out to you. And we'll see if you guys have hot takes as well. Remember, our hot takes, guys, are non-political. Non-political. I did a hot take on my national show today that was very political. This is a non-political hot take. You give me something, and like I said, just an example, if you haven't heard the show before, the first time we did this was I didn't think the Beatles were the greatest band. I thought they were average at best. Second time it was, I thought The Godfather was, it was okay. Wasn't great, but it was okay. But it was not what everybody expects it to be. So we give you the hot takes, and we want to hear from you guys. You can text the program as well as shoot us a tweet at Chad Benson Show, ChadBenson. But we got a ton of stuff to get to today, including helicopter parents, which I found this interesting. The things that happen when you helicopter parent, which is fascinating. And there are 9 things that happen that are detrimental to your kids, and how we've got a bunch of kids right now that are stressed in ways that we've never seen before, that are struggling in ways that we've never seen before. And a lot of that goes more to parenting than it does anything else, because it's one of the things I've always said, and I know Matt said it as well. They didn't raise themselves. They didn't. They did not raise themselves. No. Plus a bunch of other stuff, some political stuff as well. And like I said, right around 1 o'clock today, Trump will be speaking from the Oval Office. I'm sure he's going to inform everybody he's still alive. So we'll probably take some of that live as well. Reach out to us across all of our social media. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Rumble now, and Facebook. And you can always tweet at me at Chad Benson Show. And if you miss any of the show, we always say, shame on you. This is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Webroot, baby, Webroot. You know what? You wouldn't drive around in your car outside without any kind of insurance. Don't do that when you go online. You wouldn't drive around without your seatbelt on or your kid's seatbelt on or them in their seats. Don't do that when you go online. Webroot wants to help you with that. They've got a total protection plan that is incredible. Don't let anything happen to your identity. Don't let anything happen to your kids or family. Don't let them get scammed. Webroot can help you with that. They got real-time protection against malware, ransomware, phishing, so much more. They've got incredible web threat shield that blocks malicious websites. That it's so smart. And there's so many people out there talking about $10 trillion this year in hacks and theft alone. Don't let that happen to you. And when it comes to online prey, whether it's the elderly or your kids, Webroot can help protect you with that. They got identity protection, VPN, and backup. So many things that are important. It is easy to set up. I've heard a couple of you said, I got it, but I'm not quite sure. So easy to set up, and it's so smooth once it's on. You're going to love every second and the way it protects you and helps you. So what I want you to do, save 50% right now. Go to Webroot.com/Chad. Webroot.com/Chad. They've got Webroot Total Protection and Webroot Essentials. Maybe you just want you and a few of your devices, maybe you and the whole family. Go to Webroot.com/Chad. Live a better digital life with Webroot.
A win in federal court for the Trump administration. Will have details. And another incident involving commercial airliners. We'll have that story as well coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
In the order by U.S. District Judge Charles Breyer, he writes, quote, the evidence at trial established the defendants systematically used armed soldiers whose identities were often obscured by protective equipment and military vehicles to set up protective perimeters and traffic blockades, engage in crowd control, and otherwise demonstrate a military presence in and around Los Angeles, end quote. He wrote, in short, defendants violated the Posse Comitatus Act. That law makes it illegal for the government to use a military for domestic law enforcement. The ruling is stayed until September 12th to allow the president to appeal.
Not a shocker that happened. I think most people expect that. And I was watching Chris earlier today talk about what's going on in Chicago. And I know he was talking to somebody about, well, you know, we should go in there. And the guy that he was chatting with said, you know, no, I don't think we should. Myself, look, it's 15 areas in Chicago that are bad. You take away those 15 areas, and things change drastically as far as the numbers. There's plenty of other cities out there that have worse murder numbers or violent crime numbers, but states and cities, this is what voting is all about. We want states' rights, right? We want to be able to allow that. If you want your city to fail, if that is your goal, is to allow this stuff to happen in certain areas because you want to get on some sort of high horse, right? Whether that's the mayor, you know, who's just an absolute idiot, then so be it, right? You've gone from bad to worse, from Lightfoot, right, to Johnson. You've gone from bad to worse. You've gone from somebody who is kind of woke to somebody who's just an activist LARPing as a mayor. And if this is what you want, then let it be. Right? Because I know, I mean, it doesn't, I broke down the actual numbers, but we'll give them to you a little bit later. But let me just say this. From about 29,000, about 54,000 in these 15 areas, that is the median income of the people in and around these areas. In the rest of Chicago, in Illinois, 75 to 121,000, depending if you're looking at the city or the state itself. There is a whole host of reasons this place in certain areas is a nightmare. But you got to fix who you're voting for first. And who you're voting for is the reason you're in the mess you're in, because they're trying to nice their way out of stuff. They're trying to woke their way out of stuff. They're trying to do stuff that isn't going to help long term because they're not being honest with the people that live there. So why should you save them if they don't want to save themselves? It's a fair question. It is Hot Take Tuesday. So we do hot takes. Louis, do you have a hot take today? Do you have some sort of hot take? Because I haven't really hit you with one.
Come back to me.
All right, we'll come back to you. We'll come back to Louis in a little bit. My hot take today. Some of you might get mad. By the way, got some of the hot takes are country music is officially dead. Alabama football's overrated. Oh, that's a yes. I think they are overrated. That being said, every year they're still in the mix. Because if you play in the SEC and you're decent, you're going to be in some sort of mix. And you're always going to get, because of, you know, where you are, you're going to get the high-profile players. But my hot take today, I like sausage over bacon. I love bacon. Let me tell you something. I absolutely love bacon. But if I could only eat one, I think I'm going to go with sausage as long as it's got some spice to it. Ooh, look at that right there. Little hot take there. Somebody said a good hot take is burgers should be wider, not taller. I like that. Wider, not taller. I like that. So instead of going up, you want to go out. Although that's kind of odd. But you know what? We went to the zoo on Friday and got to see all the cool things. Sebastian, the Komodo dragon, was out. He's awesome. He's ginormous. Found out how many Komodo dragons. I think they have 7. I think they have 4 females and 3 males. But the burger we got, which was delicious, it is actually way wider than the, it was kind of interesting. It was almost like you could tear it apart. But I like that. But for me, sausage, as long as it's spicy, it's got to have a little spice to it. If it's just regular sausage and regular bacon, I'll take regular bacon. But it's got the spice to it. If I only had one, it would be that, which is crazy for me. Let me know what you guys think. Blasphemy, says Jason. Jelly roll is terrible. Anti-bacon shake. I didn't say I hated bacon. I didn't say that. I just said if I had to choose one, I like sausage over bacon. Let me know what your hot take is. Can be on anything. We'll get back to Louis in a little bit and ask him what his hot take is. By then, he should know. A lot of stuff still to get to. More on what's coming up at 1, potentially. Just a bunch of crazy stuff going on in the world, including this weekend. And I'll be honest, the White House is kind of poo-pooing it, but you can't. Because we saw Modi and Xi and the Pooter and several others come together, and that should be somewhat alarming because we, I think, are swinging and missing at some of the foreign policy stuff that we're going after in the hopes that we're going to end something when it comes to Ukraine. And I don't know if it's working the way he thought it was going to work. Talk about that, among other things, straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. It's 12:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We've got a rather wet forecast. It's coming up in just a few minutes. A win for the Trump administration at the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals. A 3-judge panel has tossed out a lawsuit against the EPA, which challenged the agency's clawback of billions approved by Congress as part of the Biden administration's Inflation Reduction Act. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more.
In upholding the EPA's decision to terminate $16 billion in Green New Deal grants, the appellate panel's 2 Trump-appointed judges said the case was brought in the wrong court. But they also said the agency has the authority and responsibility to ensure taxpayer money is, quote, properly spent for its intended purposes. The dissenting judge said the nonprofit groups who brought the suit were already spending the funds, quote, exclusively as Congress intended.
Thankfully, nobody is injured after 2 United Airlines planes clipped each other at San Francisco's airport. We hear now from ABC's Alex Stone.
The 2 United planes were on the ground in San Francisco as one was being pushed back from a gate by a tug. It struck the tail of another parked United aircraft, heard on air traffic control audio.
Yeah, 2351. Looks like there was plane-to-plane contact.
That audio from liveatc.net. Nobody was injured. The plane that was being pushed back returned to the gate and passengers got off normally. United says it arranged for different planes for the passengers who were impacted.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. In fact, Clarksville, you're getting a pretty good shower right now. Again, we'll have that forecast coming up. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
But it is a mostly dry day as we get back to the mid-80s. Thursday will also toss an isolated shower into the mix. Stay in the 80s. Friday we'll have more all-day sunshine with highs near 90.
Speaking of rain, you don't want that creeping in to some of those cracks. Maybe that's got through underneath. You don't know what's underneath there. Lo and behold, it could be nasty. That's why you need USS, United Structural Service. Have them come out, give you a free inspection. Okay, it's absolutely free. They're going to come out. They're not going to charge you anything for it, and they're not going to sell you anything you don't need. If you have issues, right, maybe you've got issues with some of your pipes and there's been some leakage. You don't want wood rot and you don't want mold. What a nightmare that can be. Have them come out, give you a quick inspection, and let you know what's going on. Little peace of mind, but also potentially stopping something to get worse, because the last thing you want to do is find out, foundation. I got issues in my walls. I got issues in my crawl space. I got issues in places I didn't know I had issues. Then it becomes expensive. And you don't want that to happen. USS gets to it, and get to it quick. Call USS today, 615-488-7855. 615-488-7855. Or see everything they do and where they work online at ussstn.com. It's a little Hot Take Tuesday. Some of you guys make me laugh. You're like, so you hate bacon, you libtard. I don't hate bacon. I just said I prefer sausage. Several of you have chimed in and said, you know what? Sausage is something that can be standalone, where bacon, not so much. Now, you could eat a pound of bacon, but is it standalone meat? No, not so much. Not so much. Several others are chiming in about The Simpsons being overrated. Dr. Pepper is the most overrated drink. Oh, I could see that. I could see that. I was never a Dr. Pepper fan. It was weird. I always thought Dr. Pepper tasted purple. I don't know why, because it didn't look purple. It just felt like that. I don't know if it was the can or whatever. But I was never a huge Dr. Pepper fan. It's a hot take, though. For me, I said today, sausage. I believe sausage is better than bacon. Both of them are A+. But if I had to have one, I can't eat any other. They said, this is it, your choice, this is the future. You eat one, that's it. I'm going with sausage. I'm just going with sausage. Meanwhile, over the weekend, a bunch of people that normally don't get together got together, held hands, sing Kumbaya, which is interesting. And there's some serious issues here. There is. There are some serious issues when it comes to, and we need to be honest, the tariffs aren't working when it comes to India. India and China have done something where they have made their nations essentially able to cocoon themselves in the event that something goes sideways and foreign influence wants to come in. Okay? Right? So it's the rupee, whatever, China's foreign currency. They want to be able to have full control over everything. And Modi looked at Trump when he put on those things and said, nah, not going to do it. And Peter Navarro's become quite the star over there, talking about, why are you doing this, Modi? Why are you doing all these kind of things? Why aren't you? Because we're doing this to try to get them to stop buying Russian oil. right? We thought we were going to crush them and they were going to capitulate, stop buying Russian oil because the Russian war machine is moving on. Putin's got nothing to worry about. He doesn't fear anything at this moment in time. He's losing on average up to 7,000 soldiers a day. Think about that for a second. Those are like World War II numbers, World War I numbers. Those were armies battling globally, not in an area. Ukraine's having to pull up pregnant women, elderly men to try to make up for the shortfall in some of these areas. And the thought was, well, if we hurt them, India's not going to buy their oil, which will slow down their machine. And that didn't work. And what it has done is make Modi, there's a bunch that goes into Modi and Trump, say, you know what, maybe I'll hang out with these guys for a while.
India's Prime Minister Modi joining Xi and Putin Monday, jointly representing over 3 billion people and militaries over 4.5 million strong, standing shoulder to shoulder, laughing, smiling, sending a clear message and challenge to Trump over sanctions and tariffs. Modi's locked in this battle with the US over tariffs, pledging partnership with China. President Xi in the swipe at the US, calling for opposition to, quote, Cold War mentality and bullying.
Somewhat. It's what we do, right? I mean, walk softly, carry the big stick. I think it was on this day that he said that, actually. Those many years ago. 1902, I think he said it. Walk softly, carry a big stick. Well, we have not walked softly. We've carried a big stick. We've dragged it around. We've pushed people around. And they said no. That's why we're totally fine with Ukraine going after the oil infrastructure, because there is no issue here in anytime soon that is going to cause Putin to come to the table. Trump is frustrated and he's pissed about this. He's very frustrated. Why wouldn't you be? You thought maybe you could, but that had been taken away from him long before he met with him. All those cards we talked about, those cards had already been played. There was nothing he could do. And now with this at Modi, he's gone over and said, you know what? I'll be seen with Xi. To give you guys an understanding of the disdain that China has with India is they fight all the time. There is always a border battle going on, a skirmish. Ken and I always joke, you can go online and watch them. They will come across the border and they'll fist fight each other. Then they'll run back across the border. They don't like each other. But they feel like, okay, if you're going to come after us, because you didn't really go after China. So come after us. We'll say, fine, whatever, and we'll go buy our cheap stuff from Russia still, which will continue to see the war machine motor on and motor on and motor on. And it is. It's going to continue to be so. And they could come out and say it's not a big deal. It's a frustrating thing. People are dying every single day. The one thing that has semi-equalized this, if you can say there's an equalization, is the fact that we have given them, for every one soldier that Ukraine has, we can give them an extra 3 by the technology. And that's what I think is going to happen now, is they're going to ramp it up and really go after their infrastructure. If you take away the money, you take away the means to making war. And they don't care about numbers. They don't care about the people. China doesn't care about the people. North Korea's hanging out. They don't care about the people at all. I mean, that was also one of the things this week. You had North Korea, you had Iran, you had them all there. What do they have in common? Right now, they have a disdain for us.
Kim Jong-un is here at his train seen pulling up into Beijing. This is a very rare trip outside of North Korea for that reclusive leader. And we were driving along Beijing's Chang'an Avenue near Tiananmen Square a little earlier. Security was extremely tight, so we couldn't even actually get out the car. But what we could see is under that iconic picture of Mao Zedong at Tiananmen Square, a red carpet had been rolled out. And it's on that platform that President Xi will stand side by side with Putin and Kim.
And Modi and Putin spent about an hour driving around in the motorcade together because Modi's frustrated. Modi thought, you know what, yeah, I could deal with Trump, but he's India first. And by the way, it's not just Ukraine. This has a lot to do with Israel as well, and because of Iran. So there's a lot that goes into this. This is not about trash. Somebody says you're trashing Trump because we cut everything by $4 trillion. First of all, we've not cut anything by $4 trillion at all. CBO doesn't count because that's over a 10-year period, of which this thing will never see 10 years in the light of day. The one big beautiful bill and all these tariffs. Secondly, the tariffs, I don't even know where they're going to be because they have to go to the Supreme Court. And third, I don't care how much you think you're going to cut something. If you outspend what you bring in, it means very little. And as of next year, they're already outspending what they're bringing in. This is not about Trump and whatnot. It's about the fact that by the way, even before Trump, we've used the bully pulpit before. We think people want to be like us. China's whole thing is, you leave us alone, we'll leave you alone. That's kind of their jam. The problem is, Taiwan, that's a big deal because of, would it be this big of a deal if we had chips here that we knew that we could manufacture and make? I don't know. I don't know how much of a quote-unquote big deal it would be. I think that's a huge part and plays into it. China's going to do whatever China wants to do, and we're not going to react to it in the way, because we're too busy looking at Ukraine. We're too busy seeing what's going on in Israel. This just isn't going the way that Trump wanted. Has zero to do with Trump. Long before Trump got there was all kinds of issues with these. Has he helped it? No. I think he hasn't helped it in this sense. I think at this point in time, you've got to decide, what are we going to do with Ukraine or not with Ukraine? I read today that the Euros, in particular France, who's kind of already saying, well, we're really not sure we want to be involved in this war, but we're going to get on a war footing. And that war footing is they're preparing everybody at the hospitals and through medical side of stuff for a potential world war next year by March if things don't change. They're expecting something where they, of course, would not really be involved, but that's where the wounded and individuals will go. Take it for what it's worth. It's France. They're already surrendering, and they haven't gotten into anything. But this is going to be an ugly mess because it is not going to stop. And from the people I talked to, we're going to talk to my buddy Mike Lyons a little bit later. I'll play you some of that. I talked to him today. They expect this thing to go on another 2 years at least, which is, how many more deaths are we going to have? But if it's not your men, right? And it's not, he doesn't care. And if we can't cripple them financially, because the whole, when this all happened, everybody thought, well, Ukraine's going to be easily crippled, right? But no, they managed to stand strong. We gave them a bunch of stuff. And so every day they survive. It was great. And we showed what a paper tiger the people on the front lines were for Russia. But they have so many. Take away one, here comes, it's like a shark's teeth, right? It's just a nonstop row of teeth. One falls out, another one comes. One falls out. That's the way Russia's has always fought. And so we thought, well, if they're going to stand Ukraine, what can we do to help them? We got to try to do everything we can, sanctions-wise. The most sanctioned nation on earth, Russia. 20,000 plus sanctions. Their war economy is not dead. Go online and look. It's still going. And as long as they can sell oil at the rate that they are, they're going to survive. And they're going to be able to retool as long as they have friends like North Korea is willing to give them up to 20,000 soldiers at a time. Being told, by the way, you either die here or you go to the front lines and take your chances. And by the way, if you don't want to go, we're going to kill you and your family. So it's an ugly situation, and it's not going to get any better anytime soon. But we're not going to sanction our way out of this. And we've pushed Modi over. Now, I think if push came to shove, he'd just go neutral and everything. But still, that didn't work. Whatever's happening isn't going the way that Trump wants, isn't going the way, by the way, the Europeans want. Because this wasn't just a slap at us. This was a slap to the Euros as much as it was to us. And let's be real, the Euros aren't always a united front, because some of them are very like, we don't want stuff to happen, but maybe it will. And do we really need to be involved? Because they all want America to be the not only the land of the free, but the keeper of freedom and push it out to everybody. Some nations don't want to live that way. The question is going to be, how far are we willing to go in this situation? How much more are we willing to do? Let me know. It is Hot Take Tuesday. Did you get a hot take there, Louis?
Yeah, I think that power slap is probably the dumbest sport ever.
That is an absolutely...
I think you have to, have no brains to want to... Do they even get paid?
Yeah, I do, but I don't think they get paid a lot. If you guys have never seen Power Slap, and this is it's what's his name? It's Dana's thing right now, right? Didn't he buy the whole thing? It's where you stand, where you would look like you would stand normally when you're doing arm wrestling. Put your hands behind your back, and then somebody he almost windmills or she almost windmills, and then they slap you as hard as they can, and they've got people behind you because so many people get knocked out cold. And I can't watch it. I find it to be disturbing.
It is. It's very disturbing.
And I don't know people who do, but it's popular.
I seen a video where someone was actually training for it. Like, how do you train yourself to go to a slap match to see who slaps who the hardest?
Yeah. I don't know. Like, what is that training like?
Man, so they're practicing form, standing the ground, and it's a lot of back end stuff, but it's just something that I just think it's just a waste of time.
It's weird and it's a waste of time. It is. I mean, I look at the MMA and UFC and I see, you've got sport, you've got, discipline, you've got all this stuff. This is just how good is your jaw and face?
Facts.
That's it. All right, coming up, we got more stuff. Got some of your text messages. Hot Take Tuesday. My hot take is, if I had to have one, I love bacon, but if I had to have one, bacon or sausage, and I could eat no more than that, just those two, as far as meat, I would pick sausage over bacon every time. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Birch Gold right now. Let's talk to you. Gold hitting a new high. Where are you with gold? You should be right now thinking to yourself, how do I put myself in a position where I can help myself when it comes to gold? Right now, Birch Gold is doing something for new customers. People have never bought gold before. They're curious about it, not quite sure what to do. I want you to talk to Birch about what is going on for first-time buyers. And it is incredible. First things first, you need information. So text the word Benson to 989898 now. They'll get you out the info kit. But first-time buyers right now, up until the end of this month, if you're a first-time buyer, for Birch, they're going to offer you a rebate of up to $10,000 in free metals on qualifying purchases, okay? But you've got to find out the info first. Is it right for you? Why do you need it? Inflation, rates, global unrest, that's why. And they're going to show you how you can move an IRA or 401k over into an IRA backed by gold as well. And again, all this month, first-time buyers, you can get a rebate up to $10,000 in free metals for qualifying purchases. So make your first time, if it is now, the right time to go with Birch Gold. Take advantage of the rebate up to $10,000 when you buy by September 30th. Text my name, Benson, to 989898 today to claim your eligibility and get your free info kit. Again, text the word Benson to 989898 for Birch Gold. It's the Busy Bee best prices of the year event, and the savings are buzzing. So check this out. Your fur, a neighbor, and both of you get a $50 credit when you schedule your HVAC maintenance. Celebrate National Grandparent Day all month long. If you're a Beehive Club member, gift a free Beehive membership to one set of grandparents, just our way of saying, hey, thank you. So if you need a new HVAC unit, get a free 5-year labor warranty with every purchase, and they got great plumbing deals. They've got you covered. $500 off water and drain repipes, $300 off tanked to tankless water heaters, and now $1,500 off water filtration systems, just to name a few things when it comes to plumbing. And here's the big one. With any HVAC repair or scheduled maintenance, you'll get a free dryer vent cleaning. That's right. Protect your home and breathe easier on Busy Bee. Call Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling today, 775-7833, 775-7833, or online at busybeehvac.com.
Well, here we go again. The federal government, slated to run out of money again this month if a funding bill isn't passed. And also charges now being brought in the case of a child prank in Texas. We'll have those stories at 1 o'clock on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that next hour. In the wake of all of the crazy stuff that's happening, from doxing to swatting and the ding-dong ditch-em, finally somebody did something. But this one wasn't like something that you would think, oh, okay, this is an accident. No, there was a lot more malice in this one. We'll talk about that coming up next hour. As well as Trump is supposed to speak here in a little bit from the Oval Office. Something big. I don't know what it's going to be. I have heard, and this is just what I've heard from people I've talked to, they're going to move over from the Department of Defense to the Department of War, which is what we're pretty good at. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. And as well as maybe some stuff that when it comes to the Space Force. Space Force. Do we ever come up with a uniform with Space Force? Did we figure that out? That's got to be cool. Being in Space Force, having yet never gone to space, has to be pretty cool. I'm in Space Force. You ever been to space? Never been to space. Not yet. But it's important, right? AI and space are the two big things when it comes to modern battle. And AI is number one right now. So number one. So we'll talk a little bit about that coming up next hour. Somebody said, if you think you're smarter than Trump, right, you guys are a-holes and everybody's got an opinion. Here's my thing. It was never going to work with Modi. You were never serious about doing it. You added 50% or 50, it was a 50% tariffs. It didn't start out that way, but it came 50% on India. And there was a lot that went into it. For those of you guys don't know, Trump and him kind of got into it over Pakistan. We've kind of sided a few times with Pakistan, which didn't make him happy. On top of that, he wanted Modi, I think, to nominate him for the Nobel Peace Prize, and Modi said no. So it's a little bit personal, but it was never. If you're serious about going hard after people, you'd have to go after China as much as you have to go after, the likes of India, and you weren't. So you weren't that serious, and you did this, and then you went on. You had Peter Navarro, your guy, go on, and he's great attack dog. He goes out there, but the reality is, he almost looks like he's pretty popular and well known in India. Most people here, if you walked into a mall, if you watch politics, you know who he is. But the average person, probably not so much. India, he's very popular. And so it looked like we became the big bullies, which isn't going to help. It isn't. It wasn't just this one singular thing, but this has not helped at all. And the hopes of forcing Putin to do something isn't going to be there. You got to decide, are we going to arm them and just let them fight it out as long as they possibly can, and hopefully they destroy the infrastructure of the war machine? Or are we just going to say, Europe, it's your problem, and move on? We're going to find out. No doubt about that. Coming up, hour number 2 of the program. A lot of stuff still to get to. That Ding Dong Ditch'em story is very interesting. We'll talk a bit about that, among other things. If you miss any of the show, we say, shame on you. Make sure you grab the podcast. It is The Chad Benson Show. It's Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. We're coming up on 1 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. We'll have a weather forecast. It's got a little wet stuff in it. That's coming up. Well, looming at the end of the month, the federal government, they run out of money. And Congress must pass funding to keep the government going. And the Republican-controlled legislature will need bipartisan support to pass a temporary spending package. We hear now from ABC's Jay O'Brien.
Do Democrats hold back their votes to try to send a message to the Trump administration here, where they say they have serious disagreements with this administration and at some points anger about the policies that they have? Or do they give their votes in this case to help keep the government open? It's a question that Democrats are facing and they're likely going to wrangle with now over the next few weeks up until that funding deadline.
A Houston man is now charged with murder for allegedly shooting an 11-year-old boy who rang his doorbell and took off in a prank. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
42-year-old Leon Gonzalez is now under arrest and charged with murder. On Saturday night, a group of boys was doorbell ditching in the neighborhood. They allegedly rang Gonzalez's doorbell at around 11 p.m., and police say he came out with a gun and chased the children into the street, firing at them several times, hitting an 11-year-old boy in the back. That boy ran about a block and collapsed and died. Gonzalez is now at the Harris County Jail. Alex Stone, ABC News.
Back here in Tennessee, 3 Tennessee women have been arrested, accused of stealing over $90,000 from an 80-year-old woman. Actually, she's 88 years old, and she has dementia. An employee at Memphis City Employee Credit Union alerted police when she believed the woman was being taken advantage of because her account was mysteriously down over $52,000 in just a few months. The credit union employee told police the account owner is an 88-year-old woman with dementia. Sally Baggett has been the woman's attorney for several years. Melissa Stewart and Jennifer McLemore, they are her caregivers who were supposed to be bringing toiletries and other items to the woman. She was living is living at a senior living center, meaning all 3 of these people had access to this woman's credit union account. Well, back in 2023 and 24, police say the 3 women used the money for their own purchases, including a 2019 Subaru, as well as all kinds of purchases from Amazon, Temu, and a bunch of Memphis Grizzlies tickets. The loss from the bank account, over $90,000. Baggett, Stewart, and McLemore, they've been charged with theft of property, identity theft, and financial exploitation of elderly. That is the latest news. We've got weather next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
So we're going to have an announcement from the Oval Office. Could he be sending troops in to Chicago, which I'm not for. I don't want to see troops anywhere on our streets. Let Chicago handle Chicago problems. If you want to allow certain portions of your city to be considered somewhat war zony, that's a you thing. That is. And I know people there are frustrated, but when push comes to shove and it's voting time, you go out and you vote for the same people over and over again who put in the same policies that put you in the position you're in. Shouldn't be the government's job to come in on the federal level and bail you out. Now, if he wants to send in the FBI, the ATF, the DEA, which is law enforcement, and they can surge there, well, then let them do that. I don't want to see any troops. I don't think we need to. Then it becomes lawsuits, and it becomes and this is right now between, the mayor and him. And the mayor he's an idiot. All right. I mean, let's just be honest. He is an advocate that is LARPing as a mayor. That's what he has been for a long time. He is I mean, you go and you just listen to him talk about crime. He bloviates. He talks in circles. There was last week, he was on with Morning Joe, which not hard hitting, right? I remember, let's remind everybody, Morning Joe tells everybody to write this down, right? Tape this, mark my words, it's the sharpest bite. This is not a hard hitting thing. And he still couldn't answer any questions about the city and whether or not he wants this to happen. Because the last thing any Democrat city wants to be seen doing, apparently, is inviting President Trump to come on in and to help them in this situation. So he goes out and he has them sign this thing, we will not be working with the federal government. Then don't. Then don't. But this is why when we talk about elections having consequences, this is one of those things. This is an election consequence. Is crime up? Is crime down? I don't know. I don't know what numbers to believe in 90% of these things. Why? Because some numbers count, some don't. Sometimes you report this to the FBI, but then sometimes I can put it down as something else, and it doesn't go to the FBI. So you're not quite sure what those numbers look like. All that being said, it still doesn't fix the issue that is underneath in these areas. You've got fatherless homes. You've got people who are on the lower end of the wage scale. You've got rampant poverty. And it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle that continues day in and day out. It's a cycle that continues over and over again. You surging and fixing their issue temporarily doesn't fix it long term. And long term, by the way, is a generational thing. It didn't happen like this overnight. Many of these things that were championed by Democrats, right? Let's get the men out of the homes. Let's have people come somewhat dependent upon the government because government could be daddy and raise you. And what happened? You have this nightmare situation going on in some of these cities, St. Louis, Memphis, Chicago. 15 blocks, give or take, is what you're looking at in Chicago. The rest of Chicago, you go down Wacker Street, you're not worried about getting shot. Right? You're not worried about a lot. But are there certain areas? Yes. But why is this situation with Trump and him becoming an issue that we as the federal government or America should get involved with? They're part of America. But that's why you guys get a vote, because while you're a part of America, you're your own city, you're your own state. You want to handle things this way and you don't want that? Fine. I told you guys last week, 2 cities in New Mexico. In New Mexico, Lujan is their governor. She is a Democrat. 2 cities who are having issues with gang violence and fentanyl, and it is on the streets and it's pervasive. They came to her and said, we need the National Guard. And she surged the National Guard there. Right? So Pritzker, he's never going to do anything because this is also resistance. And we're at a time now when, unless if it's a hurricane, right? A massive earthquake happens, then the federal government's going to come in and people can put aside the politics at that moment in time because it's something that is not political. This, they turn into politics. And it's sad because the people that suffer are the people in these neighborhoods who are already struggling to make ends meet, who are already struggling because they're stuck in a cycle of violence, no education. It's either you're going to be a gangster, you're going to do your best and hope you get out of there, but the minute you have a chance, you're leaving. You're not sticking around. Or it's a straight shot to either the morgue or prison. And it is frustrating. But going and knocking crime down for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, that isn't going to fix the underlying problem. And the underlying problem is you've allowed the Democrats to rule your cities. Go look at the cities. Detroit. Detroit is a disaster. You go look at Detroit 50 years ago, there was, 2 million people there? Was there 750,000 people there now? They got so broke, they were having to sell off artwork from their museum a few years ago. Think about that. Think about if we were so broke, they had to go over there, and Freddie goes, uh-oh, we got bills due. And he's like, we better go to the art place and start auctioning off stuff. Somebody call Sotheby's. That's how bad these places are run. But when you go back and you look, it is D, 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 D. And then when time comes, what happens? Because of the machine, because of the power of the machine, they push through another Democrat. And it has nothing to do with what happens on the ground and to the people in the surrounding areas. It has all to do with what happens with the unions and the power that these people get when it comes to their vote. That's the issue. You want to fix something? How about trying something new? Oh, I don't know. Voting a different way. The result that you've got now isn't working. But this is why elections have consequences. And I don't think going in there and surging and bringing, I don't want to see, first of all, D.C. is a different thing because it's federal, the District of Columbia. That's a much different thing than what you get in other places. I don't want to see any kind of surge in any of these areas. I don't want to see, any of our troops on the street. If you want to send out ATF, which they've done in the past, and if you want to send out, DEA, they've done that in the past. You want to send out the FBI and the local, they've done that. But this has also become a fight between Pritzker and the mayor of Chicago and Trump. And you know what Trump's going to do? He's going to try to impose his will. He is. And alas, we're going to find out what that looks like because I think it's coming sooner rather than later. And we are waiting. There's supposed to be a Oval Office address coming up in a little bit. Chicago might be a part of it. Department of Defense may become the Department of War. There could be some stuff on. We were talking about Space Force last hour. And I was joking about the fact that Space Force should probably never go into space. And people are like, there's a lot of people who are in the Air Force and they've never flown a plane. Yeah, but they've been on a plane. Right? They have been. Now, 30 years from now, flying in space will probably be nothing new. I mean, I would think, and maybe I'm wrong, let me know what you guys think, that there's a good chance in my lifetime, knock on wood, that we're going to see space travel become something very normal. Like super normal. And that going up to space and that maybe taking trips and whatnot are going to be just, no difference than taking a weekend away when you're driving, or going to Dollywood. Well, we're going to go to the moon. I don't know. Potentially. And I think that will happen in the next, if you think about how far we came with travel. So you go and look at the last century, where we were 1900 to where we got to with the plane, to where we got to with the jet, to where we got to with putting a man on the moon. And then somehow forgetting how to put a man on the moon. We lost him. We don't know where any of that stuff is. So as soon as Trump speaks, we will have that for you. Meanwhile, outside of that, they're all back today. And I know that I heard, Jay talking about the fact that they're going to talk about the budget. And they're going to talk about, we could run out of money. I don't talk about that. I don't care. They're all going to talk about how they could run out of money, how they could do this, how they could do that. And let me tell you what's going to happen. It'll shut down for an hour or maybe 3 or maybe 4 or Saturday into Friday into Saturday, some crap like that. And then they'll get something done or they'll kick it out 90 days or whatever the hell they're going to do. And I'm going to laugh because they'll celebrate as if they did something, which in reality, you didn't do anything outside of your job and spend our money. And the federal government likes to think that if they close down and everything, you guys are not going to, it's all going to fall apart. Maybe you need to figure out that, no, it's not. It's not all going to fall apart. Maybe you guys should be more responsible in the way that you spend money. Oh, meanwhile,
of the House Oversight Committee, which is already poring over reams of Epstein case records that it subpoenaed from the Department of Justice, will meet with several Epstein victims. And it comes as there's this brewing effort from Democrat Raycon and Republican Thomas Massie to get a handful of GOP members to defy Trump, who's told Republicans to move on, and procedurally vote to force a release of the Epstein files publicly.
So that is still happening. So they're meeting today and tomorrow. Thomas Massie and Raycon, so it's bipartisan. They're going to have 10 to 13, maybe a few more, they're not quite sure, women giving their testimony about all the stuff that has happened. I think Johnson and Trump and everybody thought this was all going to go away. It hasn't. You just put it on pause. And they're debating it even today. And Trump over the weekend said, tell Bondi the release stuff that we think would be, is credible. And I'm like, no, release it all. Because the more that you do stuff like that and you pick and you choose, the more questions are going to be asked. Release the whole damn thing. But tomorrow, these are women that have never spoken before, from what I understand. These are 10, 12, 13 women that nobody knows their names. They've never spoken before. They're going to come out and give their account of all of the stuff that happened, how many women there actually probably are, and still not going anywhere. Still not. They can hope and they can pray. But the pressure is still there. And it's my buddy said last night, he said, it's funny, Massey's on TV now. He formally filed a petition to release the Epstein files. Last night he said, is he the most hated Republican? I said, who cares? I said, he's not. But I said, who cares if Thomas Massie is the most hated Republican? He's loved in Kentucky, and that's really all that matters. So much of this, people wrap their mind around this person's not liked. Yeah, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, and whatnot. But the constituents, as long as they like him, you can have a disdain for him all you want. Because unless you're actually voting for him or against him, it's just noise on the machine. Absolutely. Coming up, today is Hot Take Tuesday. We got some of that hot takes. Plus, we're going to hit you up on songs you might want to hear for One Hit Wonder Wednesday as well. Reach out to us across all of our social media. You can hit me up at Chad Benson Show on X and check out the YouTube as well at Chad Benson Show. This is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Stay informed and start streaming now by downloading the Super Talk 99.7 WTN app.
Boer Capital wants to give you a second opinion on what's going on in your investment account. Simple and easy to do. Call 866-779-RISK or go to knowyourriskpodcast.com. And what they're going to do is show you what they're all about, but also talk about what's going on in the world and how they're so much different. And everybody's like, oh, they all say that. No, they're lower risk, lower cost, lower volatility. Let me tell you something. My mom and everybody's with them. I would never put my mom somewhere where I know she could yell at me. They do it right. And one of the things they do is they'll talk about value investing, all this stuff, but they look globally. They're always looking for opportunities in places that most people are like, I didn't know you could do that. That's what's amazing about them. They're going to protect your money to the downside, give you the most upside potential. You get one retirement. Don't make a mess of it, right? So why don't you do this? Call 866-779-RISK or go to knowyourriskpodcast.com. Sign up today. Get a free risk review. It doesn't cost you anything. KNOW, yourriskpodcast.com for Bulwark Capital. Investment advisory service offered through Trek Financial LLC, and SEC registered investment advisor. Investment involved risk, not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Trek 24284.
Illinois' governor defying the president on sending the National Guard to Chicago, and an uninvited California wedding guest giving the term wedding crasher a new meaning. We'll have those stories coming up at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Oh, I can't wait for that. It's interesting. Wonder what it could be. Several of you chimed in. We're talking about what's going on with Chicago. Some of you are like, Chicago made this mess. Let them deal with it. It's not that I agree in the sense, this is not a federal thing. The beauty of our country and how we're set up is so different than everybody else. The way that we set this republic up is incredible. States' rights, the rights within those states belong to the state and the cities, and allow them to do their thing. If there's something that needs to happen with the feds, you call them in. But if the governor doesn't want to, and you've got the mayor, right, who is just, again, he's an activist LARPing as a mayor. If he doesn't want to be a part of the fix, he just wants to continue to do what he does, which is turn everything and everybody into some sort of victim, then you're going to continue to have that mess. And that's kind of what they've got in a small area. Chicago's a big city. You get outside of about 15-ish blocks or areas, safe as can be. But it's not just the violent crime, too. The quality of life crime, which is never, ever hit upon the way it should be when we talk about crime. So the quality of life crime is, I have a car And I can't park it outside because people break into it all the time. That's a quality of life crime. That's a nightmare. So even though crime may be going down, violent crime, homicides, what's the quality of life crime? The fact that every time you go into your house, you have to take everything in your car, including your little smelly thing from the rearview mirror, right? Because they might steal that. That's a nightmare. You got places in like Oakland and San Francisco where people are just, they leave their windows down and they leave their trunk open because it's sick and tired of having to replace their windows or their broken trunks so people could look in and realize there's just nothing in there. Doesn't mean people aren't going to try to get in. But even with a quote-unquote fix temporarily, the underlying issue is you've got poverty-stricken areas that aren't getting any better. You have politicians who use their votes to enrich themselves and to push agendas that rarely, if ever, help or do anything in neighborhoods. And you get what you get. That's why we say votes matter. Elections matter. And right now, they've had more than a few opportunities. And it's not just here. You can go look at St. Louis. You can go look at Detroit. Go look at Oakland. Go look at Los Angeles. Go look all these places. What do you have? You have Democratic machines that have put themselves into the position at the city and state, not just the state for when it comes to who goes to D.C. or even who goes to the State House, but in the cities themselves, that put themselves in the position to hold on to power, never to improve anything, and rarely try. But come around every once in a while and talk about how they're going to fix this problem or that problem, and the only way for that problem to get fixed is if you vote for me so I can go fight on your behalf. It's funny that you send somebody to fight that much, and yet they never seem to do anything different. Ever. Interesting thing. It's Hot Take Tuesday. We do hot takes here. And my hot take today was bacon or sausage. I choose sausage. I love bacon, right? But I choose sausage. Spicy sausage, little maple syrup, whatever it is much better than bacon. And I love bacon. The thing was, though, if I had to have one, and I couldn't go at all with, I got to choose one or the other, I chose sausage over bacon. Louis' hot take was he hates, was it slap fights? Is that what it is?
Power slap.
Power slap, which is a big sport. I see it on USA and TNT. If you've never seen it, it is where they slap each other. They stand there and somebody kind of wheels around like they got a baseball bat, but it's their hand, and then they slap each other. And then they've got people standing behind them to catch them because in many cases, people get knocked out cold. It is crazy. He thinks it's stupid. I think it's stupid.
Yeah, I've seen people bleed and act like it didn't even faze them.
No, no.
Dude, I know you felt that.
But it's a bizarre thing. And the fact is, we have this now where people are slapping each other, and we've turned this into entertainment. It is crazy. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit about the Ding Dong Ditch'em incident. You couple that with swatting and these hoax, active shooter things. Stuff was going to happen. But this is a little bit different. We'll talk a little bit about that. Yet again, another TikTok challenge. A bunch of other stuff on the way as well. If you're missing the show, shame on you, grab the podcast. It is the Tuesday edition of the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. We are coming up on 1:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Weather forecast is mere minutes away. In spite of the city of Chicago having over 50 shootings and 7 shooting deaths over the holiday weekend, the governor of Illinois today pushing back against the president's threat to deploy the National Guard to their city. J.B. Pritzker posting a short social video stressing that, hey, there's no reason to send federal troops.
Just a lovely day here. No emergency, so Donald Trump understands no emergency in the city of Chicago to send troops in.
Authorities are investigating after a stabbing and fire were reported at a hotel in South Nashville overnight. The Nashville Fire Department and Metro Police were called about 3 o'clock this morning to Regency Inn on Murfreesboro Pike. First responders, they found a 64-year-old man who had been stabbed and who was being treated at the scene. He reportedly told officers that the incident occurred after a fight with his ex-roommate. According to officials, as they were speaking with the man, a person informed firefighters that a unit in the building was on fire. Firefighters on the scene, they used a hose line to put the fire out before it could spread to other units of the hotel. The fire marshal's office, they're investigating what caused that fire. Metro Police, they've yet to arrest anybody in this stabbing. No additional information is currently available. And you may have seen the movie Wedding Crashers. Well, in Glendale, California, it's a real-life wedding crasher story. Here's ABC's Alex Stone.
On Saturday night, George and Nadine Farahat were celebrating the biggest night of their lives, a large wedding at a hall here in Glendale. But an uninvited guest was caught on surveillance camera scoping the place out and then swiping their gift box full of tens of thousands of dollars given as gifts by guests.
As soon as we found out what happened, the music shut down, everything immediately stopped.
They say the thief was at the wedding for about 90 minutes, scoping it out, passing family members, and even ordering a drink at the bar before swiping the box and running off. Police are now investigating.
That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN.
Thursday will also toss an isolated shower into the mix. Stay in the 80s. Friday will have more all-day sunshine with highs near 90.
All right, guys. How often get a chance to get slimmer and bring a little something home for your girl? Or maybe keep it for yourself. It's up to you. Contours LLC in Cool Springs. Are you ready for this? During September, so this month, you go buy the Belly Buster plan, and it will bust your belly and slim you out. It's non-invasive, okay? You're going to get a non-invasive lift package for free. FDA-cleared treatments, normally $1,500. You're going to get it absolutely free. Now, you can use it on yourself, or better yet, give it to your ladies. Here you go. This isn't one of those, I'm going to go get a spa facial. No. Medical grade, red light, melts fat, boosts collagen. It's incredible. It's going to help with your tummy, too. Look at this. I'm fitting in my shirts. They're bigger. I've got to buy new shirts. Why? Because I go to Contours, and the inches are shrinking. Right now, try this out, the Belly Buster. Now, here's the beauty of it. So you go to Contours. Guaranteed you're going to lose 2 inches across your abdomen and chest, or it's free, right? So you go in there, and I'm talking about the first time. It's $99. You try it. And I've done it. Dan's done it. It is incredible. They guarantee you're going to lose 2 inches, or it's free on your first one. What do you got to lose, kids? Are you ready for this? So whether you're trimming up for the holidays, trip, wedding, holiday parties, whatever it is, you want to look better, get rid of those handles or those man boobs. You know what I'm talking about. Now is the time. Call 615-236-9960, 615-236-9960, or visit ContoursLLC.com. Contours LLC. What do you got to lose but inches and wrinkles? Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Trump is supposed to give a speech of some sort from the Oval Office. If you guys haven't heard, over the weekend, a lot of Democrats thought he was dead. It's over. He's dead. He's dead, but he's alive. And then earlier today, stuff was being thrown out of the White House second floor. A large object being thrown from the window in the top floor of the White House. Intense speculate. What's the speculation? Just out of curiosity, what did you think it was? Did you think it was a body? That's the best they can do. I would like to think that's not the best they could do if it was a body, that they've got another way of getting that down. just saying, I'd like to think that. The crazy speculation around Trump with the Democrats, because they have nothing else. I mean, they don't. I mean, if Trump decided today, I don't want to do it, right? He steps away, leaves it to J.D. Vance. What are you going to do? You're just going to call him Trump Jr.? Is that going to be what you do? I'm curious. Are you going to call him? What are you going to say? Because once Trump goes away, the reality of, we've trained the last several years to fight Trump. We don't have anything behind here. We don't have any way to help the American people. It's just always been, the guy that's orange with the comb over, he's a bad guy. Which, whatever. I mean, I sit here and I laugh. So I don't think he's dead, because he's supposed to have something coming up soon in the Oval Office. What it is, I don't know. I've heard everything from Space Force to could be Chicago, to going from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. And war is what we do. Let's be honest, we don't defend a lot. We're good at getting in stuff, horrible at getting out of stuff. So last week you saw, we've talked about doxing and the craziness going on there. We've talked about these fake, insane, swatting calls and stuff that's going on, and stuff at school. I mean, we had a bomb threat early in the morning at a local college here. We had Tennessee Chattanooga had something. Pretty much every college in the South, it felt like, had something going on. And there was nothing when it came to active shooters. But one of the things that's going on is the fake doxing and people going and messing with people's houses. And it was not if, but when. But there's a caveat with the story. So you got a kid that's shot and killed, and the guy is going to be prosecuted, as he should. And there's a reason for that. But this is another one of those things where it's a TikTok thing. I see a lot of people talking about that. I did this as a kid. What are you, 30? Louis, you're 30, right?
Yeah, I'm 30.
Yeah, you just turned 30, right?
Yeah.
You played Ding Dong Ditch'em as a kid, right?
Yeah, of course.
Everybody did.
Yeah.
Everybody did. This was different.
Some young boys were playing in the neighborhood. They were doing what's referred to as doorbell ditching.
An 11-year-old boy shot and killed while playing Ding Dong Ditch, ringing a doorbell, then running off in a Houston neighborhood this weekend.
I don't feel like it's that serious to shoot somebody from knocking on your door.
Police say the boy was with two other kids. A neighbor saw them running away from the home when someone inside the home came out with a handgun and fired down the street. The 11-year-old struck in the back.
In my opinion, that doesn't look like any type of self-defense. It wasn't close to the house, so it would more than likely be a murder charge.
No charges, however, have been filed.
So charges now have been filed. But the kid ran away. Dude came out and shot. It wasn't like, and depending on the time, right? At 2 a.m, it's a little different. Somebody's knocking on your door at 2 a.m. There's a lot of horror movies that start this way. Get a knock on your door. It was 2 a.m, honey. Right? Everybody reaches for the guns. This was not that situation here.
The Houston case, just because there weren't charges at the time doesn't necessarily mean there wouldn't subsequently be charges.
Criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor Russell Wilson is not connected to this case. Here's what Wilson says investigators will debate regarding the shooter's actions.
What you're looking at is it objectively reasonable to be in fear of death or serious bodily injury? Now, obviously, if you're at your home, there's a presumption in your favor, but it's not automatic.
No, and not an 11-year-old in the back running away. You could tell nothing was crazy was going to happen. You went outside. You made an active effort to go outside and look down the street. You weren't in a situation where it was, again, 2 a.m. You're wondering, you're looking outside, you're wondering if people are strapped, and oh my goodness me. No, you made a move that, let me tell you what's going to happen here. Right, I'll show you kids.
On July 28th, a Frisco man, 58-year-old Damon Wolf, allegedly shot at teenagers ding-dong ditching his home following a TikTok challenge, according to police. Wolf charged with 3 counts of aggravated assault. Ding-dong ditching can be classified as a low-level trespassing crime, according to Wilson.
But just because you have that doesn't, again, rise to the level of the use of deadly force. You could certainly tell them to get off your property. You could call the police.
Back in Houston,
keep a close eye on your kids.
Police continue to investigate Saturday's deadly shooting, while neighbors question, why was there a shooting?
After you opened the door, what made you shoot? Especially after seeing a kid. I don't understand that one.
Yeah. I don't get that either. I think right? Like that, am I wrong or am I right?
No, you're right. You open up your door and the first thing you see is a kid running and you just think, okay, let me just shoot this kid in the back.
Yeah, there was no call for this. 0. And many of you listening have played the Ding Dong Ditch 'em game as well. Come on. Those people out there, I've never played Ding Dong Ditch 'em. Yes, you have. Right? We've all done silly. Whether it's toilet papering, Ding Dong Ditch 'em, lighting fire in the bag of poop, whatever it is. Come on now.
And we took it to the extreme when I was little. Like, we did more than just ring your doorbell. Like, we would kick your door. Like, you might think you're getting robbed, but it never led to someone thinking that, let me just go grab my gun and shoot these kids.
No. 2 a.m, can I understand it, 2 or 3 a.m, why somebody would be really nervous? Yes, that's a different story. The middle of the day, right? And kids running away laughing.
Did he have a ring cam?
I don't know if he had a ring cam. I don't know if he did. Which will be even worse for him if he did.
Right. Cause
Yeah.
I
mean, as if the kid's, out there brandishing a gun, well, that's one thing. If he had a fake gun, that's again, and something else. But you shooting at kids running away down the street, man, yes. What were you thinking? Did you think you just had a freebie? Oh, somebody came in my neighborhood, so I'm going to do it, right? To stand my ground. Well, they're running away from you. There were no threat to you.
I think they said he wasn't even by the house. Like,
no, he had to come outside from what I understand, onto the front lawn.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. It's crazy indeed. Somebody said it could have been Brad Williams. For those of you guys who don't know Brad Williams, he's a little guy, and he's a comedian, and he's funny, and it was not Brad Williams. He's still alive. That's just, we used to all do things that in today's world people lose their mind about, right? We did. We can't even let your kid go across the street when they're 7 or 8 to play at the park because we have this fear of the boogeyman coming and stealing them, when in reality that is never going to happen. What did we do? Report a couple weeks ago? You'd have to let your kid go out every day for like 775,000 gazillion years before a stranger would come and grab your kid. But this want to grab for use of force and to do something like this I don't get it. Like I say, if you've been robbed several times and it's an awkward time of the night and somebody's knocking on your door, doing something like that, okay, maybe there's a fear factor there. I could see that. But there was none. Even the neighbors like, why did he? There was no reason to come outside and shoot at these kids. None. Taking your text, we have our hot take. My hot take today, for those of you not keeping score, was the difference between, for me, the choice of sausage and bacon. So I choose sausage over bacon. I love bacon, but sausage, if I could only have one, it's sausage. If I can only have one, it's sausage. That's it. Now, I love bacon. I like to have both, but sausage, I think you can do more with. That's just me. Let us know. Somebody else said, because Louis talked about the slap fight thingy, where if you've not seen it, it's crazy. It's where two people stand in front of each other in what looks like it's an arena, right? So it's an arena, and you've got what looks to be like when you watch like the arm wrestling thing, it's got that kind of podium, but instead they stand across from each other and slap each other as hard as they can. People are like, well, what's the difference between that and boxing? In boxing, there's a reason they call it the sweet science. You have gloves on, and those gloves, by the way, really are to make sure that you don't break your knuckles. But they have gloves on, and you also have the chance to defend yourself. This is, you stand there and you look at the person and they slap you. And it's a bizarre sport, but it's gaining popularity because where it was really popular? It was really popular. It's in Eastern Europe. It's a big Russian, like Ukrainian thing, Baltics. It's weird because they like to slap each other because they get drunk and do all kinds of crazy things. I don't know. Let us know what's going on. The other thing was we're talking about, we're waiting for, supposedly Trump is going to speak here any moment. He's a little bit late, probably because he's sick. But we're going to carry some of that for you. But we're talking about Chicago. It's been another one of the big deals that we talk about today. And the Chicago side of stuff is, I don't want military, any kind of National Guard anywhere. Some of you are like, no, let them be there. They could be there forever. That doesn't fix the underlying problem. And you're federalizing something now. You're making you're turning a city into a federal area. It's not. It's a city. And there are repercussions with voting poorly and continuing to put idiots in charge of things who don't change anything. They come, they promise they're going to fix all your problems, which, by the way, never believe them, because even if they wanted to, they're never going to be able to do that. And a lot of that's up to you. But they should make it harder for you. But really what they do is they come, they promise you all these things. They take the power with them to City Hall or to the state legislature or to the federal side. They get as much as they can for the party and themselves, and anything else trickles down to you. And in many cases, it's very little. And I wouldn't want to see the military, National Guard all over the place in certain areas, because it's only a temporary fix. The real fix is you have to get people, and you have to put people in place who can get out in the neighborhoods and talk about the fact that if you want to fix this, this is a long-term thing, and this is something that isn't going to be fixed by putting the same people in charge over and over again. That's called insanity. Talk a little bit more about that. Trump is making his big announcement, so we'll be carrying some of that live here in a second as well. If you're missing the show, shame on you. It is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997 WTN. All right, kids. Raycon, best earbuds around. Right now, save 20% on the E25 Earbuds Classic. They're amazing. Tons of colors to choose from. You got some of your favorite baseball team colors. It's awesome. I love these things. 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life, active noise cancellation, fast charging. These things are amazing. And they start about half the price of other premium audio brands. And that's what I love about them. They are absolutely incredible, and I swear by them. I wear them every single day. Bell's got his new pair. He swears by them as well. And when he comes back, maybe Thursday, you guys can ask him. They are that good. Now, you're going to get 20% off, free shipping, and a 30-day happiness guarantee. You go to buyraycon.com/Chad now. That's buyraycon.com/Chad for the absolute best around when it comes to earbuds. No stems, no wires, fast charging, 8 hours of talk time, active noise cancellation. They're called Raycons. Buyraycon.com/Chad. Buyraycon.com/Chad. All right, kids. Wellness Institute of Nashville wants to get you up and running and moving again. Go to painisbad.com to find out how they get the Big Daddy Trump special. $12 for comprehensive exam. So you go in. They're not just going to go, all right, get on with it. Nope, you're going to get an x-ray. Then they're going to bring your MRI if you have it. And they're going to go over all the things that they're going to do. They're going to give you a diagnosis and a treatment and send you on your way feeling healthier and happier because you have a treatment in your hand that's going to get you feeling better than you've felt in years. And it's $12 to start. That's what's incredible. No surgery, no spinal injections, no painkillers. So if you got back and neck pain, sciatica, slip, bulging spinal disc, herniated disc, spinal stenosis, numbness or weakness in arms and legs, fingers, toes, they can help. Call 615-246-5009, 615-246-5009. Find out how you can start to be pain-free. Get your life back. It is absolutely possible. Call the Wellness Institute of Nashville today, 615-246-5009, or go to painisbad.com.
Military attorneys, they're getting a brand new role. We'll fill you in. And RFK Jr. being verbally attacked by former CDC directors. And an arrest is made over Nashville car meetups that got out of hand. We'll have those stories at the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
He's getting yelled at. You vaccine denier. I said last week, I'm not a plague enthusiast. Do your homework on vaccines. I think they should space them out. We take a lot of them now, especially for our kids. But this whole, and once again, another thing that became politics, right? You know, somebody said earlier, because I say once something becomes politics, we've lost the plot. And it's going to be about politics. But I was talking about even, you know, not only with what's going on in Chicago and elsewhere, when you think about, you know, North Carolina, what happened there became politics with the floods. We don't want politics. I want you to come in and do your job and do something. And what became politics with vaccines was ridiculous. Now, I don't know if Trump wasn't around and COVID hit and there was a vaccine, if it would have become so political. It's possible. It might have, you know, because we had social media. I mean, let's be real. There was issues going back to the Spanish flu. But what would it have been like if there was social media back then? How ugly could that have been? Because that was ugly, no doubt. And same thing here. So when they attack RFK Jr., I sit there and go, okay, well, who's the messenger? What is their message? Who are they paid by? And it's not to say that all pharmaceutical companies are bad. Now, that's a bunch of crap. That'd be a lie. But it's also a business. And money is the key thing there. In the business, money is the key thing. So, but I am not a vaccine. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there. I would never take a vaccine. I would never do this. You don't have to. You don't have to. It's the beauty of our country. But let's be honest, right? Even some people I know who are vaccine hesitant, they had some moments where they're like, I don't think I'm going to become magnetized if I take this. And I heard some of that stuff. I mean, there was a lot of crazy stuff that went on out there, and people can go down rabbit holes and then they're gone for good. And he was like, come back, come back, come back. So let them attack him. He'll be fine. And if things go sideways, that's the other thing. If things go sideways, then you recognize, okay, this wasn't the way to go. It's using common sense. And you know what it is? It's walking into your doctor that hopefully you trust and saying, Doc, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And doing some research on your own. It should be that simple. It's hard to say in today's world. It should be that simple because we make everything way more difficult than it has to be. A lot of you chiming in about what's going on because I continue to say that Chicago, if you want to send people into Chicago, it's a show. It's a battle right now. It's a pissing contest between, the mayor and the governor and Trump. And go ahead. There's a lot of cities, even worse when it comes to murder rates and violent crime. Send them all in if that's what you think you're going to do. But once again, You guys voted these people in, and you've done it over and over again. And Larry said, just like Obama said, elections have consequences. Yeah, they do. And I like solutions to problems. I don't want the show. I want the solution. What is the solution going to be? Well, going in and cracking down on a city and then and everybody's like, well, they can only do this or they can only do that. I don't know what they can or can't do because Trump may tell them to do something different. In theory, if you send the guard in, they're not supposed to carry a weapon. They can do that different in the federal side of stuff in D.C. because it's federal area. But elsewhere, what are you going to have them do? Guard federal property? Or is federal property really in trouble in Chicago? No, it's a contest. If they're going to fail, let them fail. Because then they're going to have to figure out how to fix it themselves. Then if they ask for help, that's a different story. Coming up, hour number 3, so far Trump has announced Space Command is moving to Huntsville, which we knew was probably coming. Whatever else is going to be announced. He is alive, though. So for the guys did know that over the weekend, a lot of people were speculating Trump had died. If he has, there's somebody who looks just like him on TV. So we'll talk a bit about that as well. If you missed the show, shame on you. Grab the podcast. Hour number 3, Chad Benson Show, straight ahead. Super Talk 997.
Good afternoon. It's about 30 seconds past 2 p.m. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A full weather forecast is on the way. The Associated Press reports that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, he's preparing to assign hundreds of military attorneys to step in as immigration judges. ABC's Stephen Portnoy, he's got more from D.C.
Double the number of immigration judges, with as many as 600 civilian and uniformed military attorneys set to be assigned the roles temporarily. Immigration judges work for the Justice Department, and a shortage in the ranks has led to a backlog of millions of cases, with migrants often waiting for years before they're granted permission to stay or ordered deported. The union that represents immigration judges says several have recently been fired or have chosen to leave.
Warnings from 9 former heads of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention about how Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running the Department of Health and Human Services. The former officials wrote an op-ed in the New York Times about how Kennedy's leadership, in their opinion, is not helping Americans deal with illnesses and health conditions from cancer to heart attacks. Kennedy's been in a high-profile battle over the firing of Director Susan Menares. Menares disagreed with new COVID-19 vaccine guidelines, and it triggered a mass walkout at the agency. This after President Trump is asking drug companies to justify the efficacy of the COVID vaccines, which were developed and distributed during his first term. ABC's medical contributor, Dr. Darren Sutton, he outlines who is still eligible to get the COVID vaccine and who would need to talk to their doctor.
Right now, vaccines are still available for 6 months and older, but for those under the age of 65, you have to have at least one pre-existing health condition. There are many, and so I would suggest talking to your doctor, calling your provider and your pharmacy before, just so that you have a plan.
Back here in Nashville, an investigation into an Instagram account that helped to organize riotous car meetups has led to the arrest of an 18-year-old in Nashville. News 2's Megan Fee reports.
Metro Police used search warrants to link that Instagram account to 18-year-old Michael Orellana. Orellana is accused of posting digital flyers promoting and inciting riotous car meetups in locations across Nashville. The meetups led to intersection takeovers and dangerous driving, posing a risk to other drivers and property. Orellana was arrested yesterday and now faces 2 riot charges.
Orellana was booked into Metro Jail on Monday. Court documents said he played a central role in organizing, promoting, and participating in at least one car meetup in Antioch that got out of hand. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Trump in the Oval Office. Let's take a little bit of this. This is Trump right now taking some questions, talking about what's going on in the Oval Office. He is alive, by the way, for those of you not keeping score. He's talked so far about moving Space Force to Huntsville, Alabama, as well as a few other things. Let's just peek in on a little bit and take some of his press conference going on right now in the Oval Office.
I don't want to. I have learned things that will be very interesting. I think in the next few days you'll find out.
Will there be any consequences if there isn't some type of announcement of a meeting with President Putin and President Zelensky?
Yeah,
and what could those consequences be?
We're going to see what happens. We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week they lost 7,000 between the two countries. 7,313 soldiers, to be somewhat exact, for no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, but, you know, they're soldiers. I want to see it end. Yeah.
Mr. President, have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
I didn't say when, but the answer is, look, Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible. If we didn't put out the fires, and I mean the other fires, the bullet fires, they didn't do a good job with, they should have had the water coming down, like I said. You know, we had to release the water. We had to go in and release the water to L.A. It's so badly run. But if I didn't send the National Guard into Los Angeles, I would be making an announcement today. I'd be talking about Huntsville, and I'd simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles. If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, the top law enforcement person in Los Angeles said, we could not have handled it without them. So that's what he said.
Make your mind up on Chicago, though?
Well, we're going in. I didn't say when. We're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose, when 20 people are killed over the last 2.5 weeks, and 75 are shot with bullets. So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged and hurt badly, and they don't want to talk about it. Maybe you were very brave in talking about it. You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C., is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad, really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. You know, to have our nation's capital lose every week. You know, it was like years, many years, where every single week somebody was killed for many, many, many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had, last week it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed in Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like, what's that all about? I say, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem, and we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful, and the police commission has been very helpful, and it's been a great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me. I'd gain respect for him and say, we do have a problem, and we'd love you to send in the troops, because you know what? The people, they have to be protected. I saw today on one of your networks, not a friendly network, except really the opposite, I would say, very unfriendly network. And they interviewed about 12 people on this morning. Most of them were African American, they were black. And they were saying, please, please, please let the president send in. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help. We need help. We can't walk outside. We're petrified. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country. And that includes Baltimore. I saw where Governor Moore was asking me to take a walk down the street of Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is a very unsafe place. It's rated number 4 in the city, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in the world. But, you know, we took care. This was a beautiful thing that happened in Washington because we showed that it could be done. And this wasn't just sending big, strong guys, and they are big and they are strong. You know, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court that had to do with sort of talent. It had to do with you are put down based on merit. You can hire based on merit. So merit for a soldier or for a policeman is strong, physically fit, having a certain ability, not a person that is woke and got the job through woke, but wasn't strong enough to lift a gun out of the holster, et cetera, et cetera. No, I looked at the police. As you know, last week I went over, we had a meeting there had to be 300 people, and they were all very impressive looking. And when the bad guys see them, they're not going to do a thing. And so I'm very proud of Washington. It serves as a template, and we're going to do it elsewhere. But Chicago is certainly going to be high. I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, sir, we need help. It's out of control. And everyone knows it is. He's not kidding anyone. I would love to have I would say Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place, and you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else that they have, right? But you can walk right down the street, even by yourself, and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am, please.
Mr. President, as you're calling on Democratic leaders across the country to work with you on crime, do you see your efforts here in D.C., including, for example, working with Mayor Bowser here as a model for bringing more bipartisanship in matters not only with crime, but also issues that matter to everyday American people's lives?
So Mayor Bowser's been great. She could have taken the thing, oh, well, and then after I clean it up, they'll take credit for it. You know what they do is they take credit. Like, we cleaned up Los Angeles. We did a great job there. And it was overwhelming what was going on. And again, the police chief made a statement that we could not have done, there's no way they could handle it. You saw what was happening out there. It was going to be a disaster. We stopped it cold. If we didn't do that, would have been a very sad day. And, you know, remember, we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have all these things coming, and we have 250. all of these things coming. But I watched Newsom get up and say he's doing a great. He's not. We're the ones that did it, and that's okay, whatever it takes. But the main thing is But he got up and said we did it. Well, he didn't want us there, and he's going to need us again because it's starting to form again. I see it. It's starting to form again. You know, we have to maintain. It's like maintenance on an airplane. You can buy it, but you have to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it, a good plane becomes very unsafe very quickly. So. It's an honor to do it. A lot of presidents wouldn't do what I'm doing. I don't need this heat. But when I watched television last night and I'm watching the news and I see that 9 people were killed in Chicago and 54 were badly wounded with bullets, I say, that's not this country. We have to do something. And I do say this. I say this very much. I'm not speaking to anybody but them right now. I would love to receive calls from governors and mayors saying they need help. We'll help them. We have a lot of people. We have a great force. We have a great military force. You know, Pete will tell you that when I was running for office, and this was a big headline, I think, you know, probably got me a couple of votes, but you couldn't sign people in the military. Nobody wanted to join the military, the Army, Air Force, the Navy, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard. We never forget Coast Guard because they've done such a great job. Never. But nobody wanted to join any of them. We were way below what we wanted. Every single one. The closest was the Marines, whatever that is. You'll explain that to me. But the closest was the Marines. But every service was way down, way down. And then I got elected, and our country's the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. Everybody's talking about the USA. They're talking about the job that we're doing. Everybody. We have the best economy. We have a very, very important decision being made by the Supreme Court because our country is the richest, the strongest, the most powerful. But if for some reason some liberal court, I'm talking about the court that just ruled, where even an Obama judge voted in favor of us, which I gave him a compliment yesterday, as you know. I said that took great courage. But it's a liberal court, and it's going up to the Supreme Court, who I think have been incredible people. I think they've made very wise decisions. But the tariff question, because
All right,
without
we were
the
just listening
tariffs,
to Trump in the Oval Office. He was taking some questions, talked about Space Force, going to Huntsville, Alabama. There was some other stuff we got into a little bit late. A lot of it was about crime. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up. It's not if, but when, going into Chicago. Why aren't governors calling him? A lot of issues there. And we'll take some of, I got some of your text messages about that as well. A bunch of other stuff still to get to this hour. If you're missing the show, we always say shame when you grab the podcast. Plus, we got your hot take coming up. And right now, what's your one-hit wonder for tomorrow? Let us know on the text line. You can tweet at us at Chad Benson Show. What is your one-hit wonder for tomorrow's show on One Hit Wonder Wednesday? This is the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Rough Greens, ruffgreens.com/Chad. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. All of this incredible stuff packed into a supplement that is truly amazing. And I want you to try it now. My dogs love it, but I'm going to tell you a story about my mom's dog. So my mother has dogs, big dogs. People are like, we've got big dogs. Her smallest dog is a St. Bernard. These dogs are healthier and happier longer. They've got no issues with their skins. St. Bernards and the Great Pyrenees and stuff, they've had issues with their skins, not since they've taken Rough Greens. It has given a new lease on life. Their energy levels through the roof. They are happy and they're healthy. Whether you got tiny dogs, like we got tiny dogs, or big dogs, Rough Green works for both. I want you to try a Jumpstart trial bag of this. It's a $20 value. You get it for free. Just cover the cost of shipping. Go to ruffgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad. When you get it, it's 1 scoop a day. It's all you got to do. You don't have to do anything other than that. Just put it on the food you're already giving to your dog and watch what happens. ruffgreens.com/Chad, ruffgreens.com/Chad.
The shutdown of the federal government is looming once again. We'll have an update. And Minnesota's governor, he's now calling for state gun control legislation. We'll have those stories at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
How about crazy control? I mean, how about that? How about unwell crazy control? Why are we not talking about that when it comes to gun control? It's always crazy. Right? We should have a conversation about people who are unwell, who have access to firearms, and what can we do to better get ahead of it? And I said last week, I'm still waiting to hear from Mom. She already lawyered up. She wasn't playing. So that makes me think, is there some more there? Everybody's like, why would she lawyer up? I'm like, trust me. I bet she knew a lot more. And she does. So Trump giving his speech on, this Q&A. He gave his quick Oval Office address about moving Space Force to Alabama. Space Force.
The U.S. Space Command headquarters will move to the beautiful locale of a place called Huntsville, Alabama, forever to be known from this point forward as Rocket City.
Rocket City. I kind of like that. He's great at branding. So, Space Force moving from Colorado to Huntsville. There you go. Some other stuff, too. A lot of it, and they're talking about tariffs right now, which it's an issue. I mean, the judge overruled. I think there's a lot of confusion with tariffs. That's not helping. One thing, the market and the economy is some sort of stability, knowing one way or another, which has kind of been all over the place. Let's be honest. A little chaos at times. And this thing's going to end up, like everything. You throw a bunch of stuff against the wall, see what sticks. And there was always a good chance that they were going to say, this is Congress. You guys have to do this. And Congress, if we're honest with ourselves, ain't done a lot. Congress is riding as far as they possibly can on Trump's coattails. He does something. They cheer it on. They say they support it. They don't want to be on the record for it. They don't want to vote on it. They don't want to do the stuff they're supposed to do. And when they do, it's very contentious. Because, I don't want to vote for that, but I kind of want to vote for this. And this is one of those things where the court's like, this is really not your gig, but we're going to find out what that looks like. Because like a lot of stuff, it's going to go to the Supreme Court. So Hot Take Tuesday, my hot take earlier today was about bacon. I love bacon. I'm telling you guys this right now. By the way, English bacon is incredible, but I love bacon. I love sausage more. I do. And if I could only choose one, I choose sausage over bacon. Of course, some of you are like, oh, you're a libtard and whatnot, laughing. But the reality is, sausage, you can do more with sausage than I think you can with bacon. Bacon you can add two things with bacon. And unless you're on an Atkins diet, you're probably not just going to eat this all day. Sausage, though, kind of do its own thing. Patty, all of that stuff. I'm telling you guys. It was my hot take on that one. We're also hitting you guys up for One Hit Wonder Wednesday. So tomorrow we do One Hit Wonder Wednesday. And we want you guys to text in. Let us know what you think should be the One Hit Wonder for tomorrow. Now, Belle's not going to be here, so Belle's one would be stupid. We already know that. Jay, are you in tomorrow or is Ken back?
I shall be here tomorrow as well, sir.
So One Hit Wonder Wednesday. So it's me, and we're going to make our man in there, Louis, come up with a One Hit Wonder as well. So let us know what you think could be a cool One Hit Wonder. Several of you.
I can come up with the One Hit Wonders.
Oh, you can? You got a good one? So let me tell you something about the One Hit Wonder. Belle, Jay, picks the worst ones. Stuff you've never heard of before. So bizarre.
Yeah, the wonder element is you wonder why he brought it up.
Yeah, and it's like stuff that the person was famous for like 6 hours when the song was out. So everybody's going to come up with one tomorrow. Somebody says, Chad, I question your life choices. And that person also said, bow, wow, wow. I want candy. So let me know what one-hit wonder you guys would like to hear tomorrow. We're all going to have them for you. So be prepared, kids. We'll have them for you big time, mañana. We're going to have a little bit more about what's going on with Trump on the law enforcement side. What do you think should be done? Several of you have chimed in. I'm going to tell you this right now. I, myself, do not want to see any federalization of any of this stuff. I think cities and states need to handle their own business. But I'll give you another take about that as well. We're taking your text messages, a bunch of other stuff we'll try to squeeze into, including Trump's health, which Democrats, he didn't die, or they've got a guy that looks exactly like him. So it's hard to find somebody who looks exactly like him with the voice. You can find a lot of people that look like him, kind of, but they don't really have the voice. Some people have the perfect voice, but don't look anything like him. This guy, if it is true, spot on. But I still think that's the president. So Chad Benson, Joe, Super Talk 99.7.
Good afternoon. We are coming up on 2:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A full weather forecast is mere moments away. Looming within weeks, the possible shutdown of the federal government. Congress must pass funding if it wants to stay open. We've got details now from ABC's Jay O'Brien.
By the end of September, Congress has to approve some form of government funding, whether that's a full regular funding of the government or one of those temporary government stopgap measures. The latter looks a lot more likely, and that gives the Democrats a lot of leverage here because you usually can't pass any kind of temporary government funding extension out of the House without bipartisan support, because you always will have that group of hardline House Republicans who have ideological objections to any kind of temporary government funding measure.
We now move to Minnesota, where its governor, Tim Walz, today says he'll be calling a special session of the legislature to take action on gun laws. This in the wake of the deadly shooting at a Catholic church last week. Walz says he'll submit a package for lawmakers to consider. He didn't give specifics, but it will likely focus on types of weapons, red flag reporters, mental health, and safe storage. Walz was at this would be an elementary school where he was in Minnesota. It's the first day of school there for the new year.
I can call a special session. I can't run a special session. And to be very candid, just in a very evenly divided, I'm going to need some Republicans to break with the orthodoxy and say that we need to do something on guns.
The Trump administration continues to defend its use of tariffs as threats of a block by the Supreme Court are possible. White House trade advisor Peter Navarro called President Trump's global tariffs a form of protection, adding he believes the tariffs imposed on neighboring Canada and Mexico have definitely curbed the amount of fentanyl that comes into the U.S.
The president himself never said that these tariffs were permanent. If, in fact, people stop dying from communist, Chinese, Mexican, Canadian drug cartel fentanyl tomorrow, the tariffs would be lifted.
That is the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Back to the mid-80s. Thursday will also toss an isolated shower into the mix. Stay in the 80s. Friday will have more all-day sunshine with highs near 90.
All right, guys. Beacon Capital Management wants to talk to you about taxes. One Big Beautiful Bill's out there. Do you know there are issues that you probably think, oh, what about this taxes, these things? No, they can help you with those issues and show you some other things that you can do, like potentially take up to $10,000 in car loan interest off your tax. What? Yeah. But there are some things, right? Like only if the vehicle's assembled here in the U.S., along with other restrictions. Maybe you're not one of those people that itemizes. They've got above-the-line charitable deduction, $1,000 for individual, $2,000 for couples. But all of these things are going to eventually, sunset. They're going to go away. So time is of the essence. Now, if you're 65 or older, how about this? You're eligible for an additional deduction of the $6,000 with a phase out as long, so you go and you do this. Now, these, just like everything else, there's a phase out. So it's not a complete get rid of taxes, but it's another opportunity for you to take advantage. But you're not going to know these things unless you talk to my friends over at Beacon. So this is what I want you to do. You want to know how to understand these things? It's confusing. I'm confused. Everybody is. Call them today, 615-488-9303. You're going to get a free personalized financial consultation. That's 615-488-9303. Check them out online at beaconcm.com. This is a paid placement. See me rocking out there? I was rocking out. Trump earlier talking about the hellhole that is Chicago. It's a hellhole, as you guys didn't know that.
Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say about, we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago, they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection. We don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible.
First of all, Afghanistan is not the nicest place, but do I think would you rather be in Chicago, St. Louis, or Memphis, or Afghanistan? I'm going to go with Afghanistan. And they've got enough issues, by the way. If you guys didn't see, there was a massive earthquake. I don't know how many people are dead. But the Taliban is actually asking everybody from the Red Cross, anybody, if they can help. So a little mustard on that one from him. There's never been any place ever. Haiti. I'd rather be in Haiti than Chicago. No, I'll stick with Chicago. And I know some of you are like, it doesn't matter. We could put them out there and they could stop all this stuff. It doesn't fix a few things. First, the underlying issue. Fatherless homes, poverty, poor education system, of funneling of kids, especially young men, from single moms to the streets to eventually what? To gangs, to eventually either the morgue, prison. That's it. And that's kind of what you've got in a lot of these areas. And a lot of you say, well, we should show these people that they don't have to live like this. They know that other parts of the city and the country don't have these issues. They understand that. And I would love to see Pritzker go, hey, look, what can we do? I don't want the National Guard there. And by the way, the National Guard, from what I understand, they're going to be doing what? They can protect federal stuff. I don't think anybody's running over and shooting people on the federal building or any of that place in federal lands. They're not going to be armed. If you think having them in the street is going to be something, okay, maybe, but I don't think most people want that. They want their community and their leaders to actually do some crap, which they don't do. And part of that isn't even on the police. Part of that isn't even on the mayor. It's the fact that you elect the same city council people over and over again, who then do everything they possibly can to grift and get all the unions to do all the stuff that they do. And then from there, and this may be something that I don't think a lot of people are talking about, that needs to be talked about the most. And Matt and I actually talked about it the other day off the air. George Soros and his funding of woke, stupid, ridiculous DAs has had a massive effect in the inner city in areas that most people don't get. Having people commit crimes, and we always think we talk about crime, it's going to be the violent crime. Yeah, those are all horrible. We get that. But a lot of it is also quality of life crime, where your car's broken into all the time, right? Where your house gets broken into, where you get jumped and have your stuff taken. They don't beat you up, but they just grab it and run away with it. The quality of life crimes are through the roof, to the point where people stop reporting them, because even when they get caught, what happens? These woke DAs, and the DA in D.C. said the same thing as Gascon in Los Angeles. We're not going to prosecute our way out of this. Those were the same words, except Gascon, he was the DA who really became the face of woke DAs. He sounded like a Muppet, we're not going to prosecute our way out of this, is what he sounded like. The underlying issue is several. But as I've tried to explain to some of you, first of all, elections have consequences. Secondly, what happens when everybody leaves? Because you're not going to keep them there forever. So what happens when everybody leaves? Nobody. The Democrats, you guys are idiots if you think soft on crime is going to help you. It's not. But what happens after everybody leaves is the same thing that happened with the Taliban. We kept them at bay, and then we left, and then 3 hours before we left, they blow up parts of the airport, and then they take over the minute we're gone. Do you think when D.C. is going to be like this in a week or two, if everybody, back to normal, you think it's going to be like that? No, it's not. Because you're not fixing it. You're putting a Band-Aid on something that is a bullet hole. But there's a lot that goes into it. It's not Trump's fault. It's years of ridiculous Democrats running cities into the ground because they've decided to become activists rather than council people that care about their community. And they care about their community at the victim's end, where they come in and they're like, oh. They don't care about grandma up the street who's been robbed 3 times, but they do care, right, If you have been potentially called a name that's racial, that's a big issue. And that, again, is horrible, but they care about the silly things and not the things that matter most. So elections have consequences. Let it. I mean, I'm going to go down the line here because I've got it. I did the work, people, so you don't have to. Tell you that right now. By the way, keep sending your text, and you can tweet at me at Chad Benson Show for One Hit Wonder Wednesday. So it's going to be Jay tomorrow. It's going to be Louie and I, because the other two guys, yeah, they flamed out on me. Didn't even tell me, by the way. Didn't even tell me. Fail! But here, I did the work, so you guys didn't have to. Today, when it comes to the neighborhoods that are in a bad situation in Chicago, because it is a few neighborhoods. A vast majority of the city is completely fine. You can go down Wacker Street, right? You can walk down several of the areas. I've been there. It's a commodity trader for years, right? So that was like one of the hubs. All right, so here you go. An area called Austin, an area called Inglewood, an area called West Inglewood, an area called East Garfield, West Garfield, North Lawndale, Roseland, Auburn, Grisham, South Shore, Humboldt Park, Chicago Lawn, Greater Grand Crossing, New City, back at the Yads, is what they're saying, South Lawndale, Little Village, and West Pullman. Those right there are the areas that there are issues. If you took those places away, the crime, as far as the violent crime, drops tremendously. Here's the issue. Okay, you ready for this? You guys, medium income in Illinois and Chicago. So 75,000 to 121,000, depending on if it's the state or the city. In these areas, 44,000, 29,000, 34,000, 38,000, 50,000 is the highest. 48,000, 40,000, 49,000. You know how expensive that is, and that's for one, if not two. And a vast majority of these, you're looking at $20,000 and $30,000. So you're living at the poverty line in an area that is already downtrodden, and people don't feel they have a way out. So what's the big picture? If I'm Trump, I'm going in there, if you're going to do anything, and say, you guys have run these school districts into the ground. These kids have no home. They got no fathers. Because that's a lot of what we're talking about. Young girls who don't have fathers who are getting pregnant way too early, and young men who don't have a father in the house who are what? Getting out there, and they're looking for something. In many cases, being raised by their grandmother, their mother, their aunt, and their issues. Serious. What was it Chris Rock said? If you call your mama Pam and your grandma Mom, you don't need college money, you need bail money. Said in a joke, that's reality. But taking it in there to go, we're going to stop this down and we're going to get this sorted out, that sounds great. It's a great show of force, and it's a great pissing contest between you and the governor and the mayor. And you want people safe. And I genuinely believe Trump, in his heart of hearts, wants people safe. That being said, you're going to eventually leave. The surge is going to eventually leave. Then all of a sudden, what do you have? You have the same thing you had before, and people who've stopped down are going to start up again. And if you haven't changed the way that they prosecute, well, then that's going to be another issue. It's a generational thing, and it's going to take time. And it'll be great to have safe, but we're not going to leave, the DEA and the ATF and the FBI and the National Guard in an area for years. It didn't get this way overnight. But it starts at the ballot box as much as anything else. And they better figure it out. No doubt. It's a hot mess. These people are trapped there, which is awful. It is. I grew up dirt poor in Southern California. I lived on the street where I was the only little cracker on the street. I went to school where there was gun violence. I'll tell you what, it is crazy. It is. And some of those areas where I grew up on Paramount Street, Long Beach, it's still a nasty place. Nothing has changed. Why? Because they voted the same people in over and over again. And when you do that over and over again, you're going to get the same thing over and over. And this is the result of it. And I want states and cities to have the rights that they have. I don't want anything federalized. And Trump should point out the mistake every week that is going on. And he should also talk about the schools and how poverty-stricken and how desperate people feel. Coming up, our buddy Matt. I do believe he's here. I've not seen Matt, but I'm sure Matt is here. He's going to come on the show. We have a thing called Welcome Matt. That's where we talk back and forth. If you've got any one-hit wonder Wednesday, let us know what your one-hit wonder is going to be. We're going to break it out for you tomorrow. I've got a couple interesting ones, but I'm still taking some of your texts. You can also tweet at me at Chad Benson Show for your one-hit wonder. We'll wrap it up straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks, awesome. Football season is here, and you're ready to win with Prize Picks. Now, here's the beauty of it. Simple and easy to play. You're not picking teams, you're picking players. Use that knowledge you have to win. It's more, it's less. In football, oh, it's so incredible. So 2 to 6 players that you choose projections. So you can go cross sports. You can do baseball. You can do football. You can do anything. But come on, it's football season. So you ready for it? So how about this? Saquon Barkley, more or less than 1 rushing TD. Oh, that's simple, Chad. Tell me more. Joe Burrow, more or less 2.5 passing TDs. Josh Allen, more or less 270 yards passing. That's how you play the game. That's how you set a lineup. It's that simple. Now, here's the other beauty of it. You download the app, use my code Chad. You get $50 in lineups the minute you play your first $5 lineup. So maybe you take a couple of those, you play those, $50 instantly in your account to play more lineups. It's that simple. It's more, it's less. It's a lot of fun. You can win up 2,000 times your money. It is incredible to play. So play a little Prize Picks today. Download that app. Use my code Chad. And when you do, get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Must be 21 in Tennessee. Gambling problem. Call 1-800-889-9789. I love how people online are like, hey, Snow Matt. Wait, where is it? Well, I wasn't here Friday, so I didn't know that. See some of you, because we had my man Dez filling in, because Dez is the man. He came in, he filled in. So we had everybody's off. So we got no Matt today. Chris was here. I think Dan was here. And what are you working? Is this you started what time this morning?
5.
King Louie's been here since 5.
Yep.
He's pulling a Chad shift. Since 5, been working. He's done Dan's show. He did, and I think, who else was out?
Chris.
Joan was out. So you did Chris's show, and now you've done my show. You're not doing any more, right? Because I've seen Jackson. He's wandering around out there.
I got an offer, but I declined.
Okay, there you go. So much to do. So much to do. It's funny, listen to some of you guys with text in about, the safety of the streets. And shouldn't they move people in there? We need to do this. This is a slippery slope. When you go federalizing stuff and you start moving people in there, government doesn't like to give up power, and it doesn't fix the issue long term. It doesn't. And sending people in for show and to have them guard something that was never in, any kind of serious issue, I'm sorry. I just don't think so. I mean, we got to make the cities, unless they're asking for it, the states, you got to hold it up. Jackson, who do we have in today? Because I said Matt, but I wasn't here Friday. So, Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
What's going on? Is my mic on?
Yeah.
I don't have headphones. Okay, perfect. We have Cameron Smith coming to hang out with us while Matt takes an extra day.
Okay, Cam Smith is coming in. So, Cam never does the cross because he's always over there prepping. He's doing the prep.
He's doing hard work.
He does. He's a little late on the prep. All right, because people said, Matt's not in. I'm like, I had no idea Matt wasn't in.
And we're going to talk about this Alabama loss that his Crimson Tide took on Saturday.
Yeah, that was Florida State. When I was a kid growing up, I said I only wanted to kick for one person. That was Bobby Bowden. Right? I thought I would kick for Tennessee maybe, but I always wanted to kick for Bobby Bowden because he loved kickers when I was a kid growing up. This big thing, And that was the only football I'd ever played for that side of it. And that guy, Cassiano, whoever it was, man, he came in and talked all kinds of smack.
Oh, he was talking all offseason about this Alabama game, and then he backed it up.
He did. He backed it up. He made him look bad. This looks like because last year they started out like top 10 team, and they were 2-10.
They beat Georgia.
Yeah. But this is going to be an interesting year. I was pumped. I watched college football. Last night, I watched Belichick get boat raced.
Oh, it was awesome. I got to turn that game off at halftime.
Yeah.
You're doing Hot Take Tuesday, right?
Yes, hot take. My hot take, I prefer sausage over bacon.
Hot take, I've got a TV one for you.
Okay.
Franklin and Bash, underrated television show.
I like that show.
It's great. I started watching it last night. I got through the whole first season.
Franklin, that's on Netflix, right? Then they add that to Netflix.
Just got added.
Yeah, so I like that. The Wire, here's a hot take. I've never seen The Wire.
Me neither.
You know why? Because when people tell me to see something and you have to, I don't do it. I don't. I won't.
You're done.
If they tell me like, oh, Orange is the New Black is the greatest show of all time, or Girls, or this, or I've never seen Game of Thrones.
Never.
Not one episode of that or the other, whatever, what is.
I got through like the first season of Game of Thrones and then kind of lost interest.
Really?
Yeah, couldn't hook me.
My buddy's like, dude, it's everything you dream of. It's flying dragons and boobs. I'm like, yeah, sounds like something I'd like. Yeah, Notre Dame lost to Miami. Miami looked like a.
That was probably the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, that was a good game. LSU looked good. It was a lot of fun. Tennessee won. Oklahoma, I was going to make fun of them, even though they did win. My buddy,
did they struggle?
They didn't look great at the beginning. They got it going though. My buddy Mike Lyons, who is a military analyst, and I'll probably have some of his stuff tomorrow. But he goes to all because he's from West Point and everything, and he works with them. He goes to the games, and he told me last week. He goes, "I'm just nervous that we're going to lose to this team from Texas that nobody's ever heard of, Tarleton State. They lost to him," and he's laughing. He goes, "Dude, it's all oil money. These guys have all this oil money, so they go get the best JUCO players and offer them ridiculous money to come play at this place you've never heard of."
Tarleton State.
Yeah.
What was the score?
No, they went on field goal last minute, so over Army. So that was funny. But it was fun. It was great. I love college football. I'm pumped. One Hit Wonder Wednesday. Tomorrow it'll be us three again because the other two guys didn't bother to tell me they were taking the day off today. I knew that Bell wasn't, but Ken never told me.
Is Bell out all week?
He's out. They're out till Thursday.
Okay, Ken is too. I know.
Yeah. Never bothered to tell me. And I sent them a horrible text message earlier. Shame! We will have One Hit Wonder Wednesday tomorrow. Make sure you join us. Send me some text. Also, tweet at me at Chad Benson Show if you have any suggestions for One Hit Wonder Wednesday. You guys have an awesome rest of your Tuesday. Go with some tacos. This is Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 997.